It is all the nation's youth have been talking about for days. The Central Bank of Nigeria has ordered all banks to close accounts of anyone who transacts in cryptocurrency. And Nigeria's youth are again up in arms. Some have even accused the Buhari administration of purposely trying to stifle their progress. If the likes of Elon Musk do transactions and invest in cryptocurrencies, why can't we? This week on Dateline Abuja, we examine the fears that led to this decision by the Central Bank of Nigeria and how the people feel about it. I mean, the opinions and experiences vary, but we even spoke to a man whose daughter was kidnapped in Abuja and the kidnappers made him pay a ransom of $15,000 in Bitcoin. That's coming up in our feature story. In our interview segment, we speak with an expert on cybersecurity. He's the chair of the African Union's Cybersecurity Expert Group, and he gave us some interesting insights into the cryptocurrency revolution and what regulators like the CBN should be doing differently. And of course, we bring you the major stories from Nigeria's seat of power. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa. Is cryptocurrency money? Technically, yes. China and Venezuela are even trying to adopt them as fiat currencies. So what's the fear? It's one word: control. Regulators cannot control these transactions. They can't even be taxed. Yet. That's the element government regulators have not explored yet. An outright ban doesn't stop the cryptocurrency revolution. Those transactions will just go offshore. How can the government key into the opportunities that blockchain technology presents? Is there a way? We'll get to that shortly. First, a court in Abuja has ordered the CBN to unfreeze the accounts of the NSAS promoters. It's time for our Abuja Wrap. President Muhammadu Buhari has justified the construction of a railway linking Nigeria with Niger Republic despite criticisms of the project. He gave the justification while virtually presiding over the groundbreaking of the rail line from the State House in Abuja, insisting that the rail would foster trans-Sahara trade and contribute to the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement.
The rail line that traverses the major commercial and administrative center of Kano and passing through other economic hubs of the country, including Kazaure, Daura, Katsina, and up to the border town of Jibia and Niger Republic city of Maradi. The cities of Jibia and Maradi constitute a significant trading core between Nigeria and Niger Republic, a tradition dating back many centuries.
Meanwhile, the president is offering automatic employment to 110 former members of the National Youth Service Corps. Aside from a job in the Federal Civil Service, he offered them scholarships for the pursuit of postgraduate studies up to doctoral level in any university in Nigeria and a cash reward. He made the announcement during the virtual 2018-2019 President's National Youth Service Corps Honors Award ceremony.
I hereby direct the relevant agencies of government to ensure timely implementation of the following additional incentives for all the award recipients. A, automatic employment into the Federal Civil Service. B, federal scholarship for the pursuit of postgraduate studies up to the doctoral level in any university in Nigeria. And D, accompanying cash reward.
The federal government is sounding a note of warning for those planning a fresh protest to reoccupy the Lekki toll gate. Addressing a news conference, the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, says violence under the guise of another NSAS protest will not be tolerated by the government. A federal high court in Abuja has ordered the Central Bank of Nigeria to unfreeze the bank accounts of the NSAS promoters. Justice Ahmed Mohammed gave the ruling following the agreement reached by parties in the suit to amicably resolve the matter. The second conciliatory meeting between the federal government and the leadership of Senior Staff Association of Universities and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities has ended in a deadlock. Members of the union came out of the meeting declining comments on their deliberations after spending several hours behind closed doors with the Minister of Labour and Employment, who had earlier insisted that industrial action is unlawful. The federal government is insisting that it has adequate cooling systems for the storage of COVID-19 vaccines. Nigeria is expecting 16 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine from the COVAX facility and another 42 million doses from 3 other types of vaccines through an African Union platform.
The vaccines that we know, meanwhile, are require 3 types of storage. There is the type that requires an ultra-deep cold chain, ultra-deep freezer storage, minus 80 degrees. That's extremely cold. But we have some of them in Lagos and Abuja. That's why we can take up to 400,000. Now, the AstraZeneca does not require that temperature. It requires 2 to 8 degrees regular refrigerator.
The Federal Executive Council has approved several contracts worth over 26.7 billion naira. The contracts are to be executed by the Ministries of Communication, Water Resources, and Information and Culture. The projects include 8.43 billion naira for the Damaturu Water Supply Scheme, 8.9 billion naira for an ICT park in the nation's capital, and 9.43 billion naira to complete Nigeria's digital switchover. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation is planning to reduce the cost of production in the nation's oil and gas sector to $10 per barrel from about $30 per barrel. Speaking at the launch of the Upstream Cost Optimization Program, the Group Managing Director of NNPC, Malam Mele Kyari, explains that the instability in the global cost of crude oil means efforts must be taken to reduce the cost of production to maximize profit from the sector. Our feature story looks at the pros and cons of cryptocurrencies. The opinions across the nation's capital are very strong on both sides, but a lot of those opinions come from a skewed view of the subject, and understandably so. I mean, if my child was kidnapped and I had to pay in cryptocurrency, I would not want to hear about it. But people also pay ransom in cash. Does that mean we should ban cash? Take a look. Cryptocurrencies, the talk of the town. They've emerged as a division of alternative currencies to our regular fiat currencies. Representing money in digital form, they differ markedly from conventional currencies as well as digital payment services or mediums. Formally introduced in 2009 with the introduction of Bitcoin, this latest addition to financial technology is waxing stronger as there are now no less than 2,000 different types of cryptocurrencies globally. Since then, Bitcoin trade volume in Nigeria has increased by at least 19% annually. According to a report from blockchain research firm Chainalysis, published in September of 2020, Nigeria is ranked 8th globally and 3rd in Africa among countries with the highest cryptocurrency use rates. It is estimated that about $4 billion of assets are embedded in cryptocurrencies in Nigeria. The estimates show that Nigerians have traded nearly $600 million in Bitcoin in the last 5 years. It's a major attraction for young people.
Data from Paxful, which is a P2P platform and also an exchange, shows that Nigeria in the last 1 year transacted over $650 million worth of Bitcoin on that particular platform alone. And we also know that there have been also some data that has been coming out from other exchanges that also shows that, this thing is huge in Nigeria.
In 2017, the Central Bank of Nigeria raised concern about the operations of virtual currency. Though the Apex Bank moved to study the technology, 3 years later, the bank asked commercial banks and all financial institutions to stop all cryptocurrency transactions. A statement from the bank reads, further to earlier regulatory directives on the subject, the bank hereby wishes to remind regulated institutions that dealing in cryptocurrencies or facilitating payments for cryptocurrency is prohibited. The use of cryptocurrencies in Nigeria are a direct contravention of existing law. While central banks can issue digital currencies, cryptocurrencies are issued by unknown and unregulated entities. It is on the basis of this opacity that cryptocurrencies have become well suited for conducting many illegal activities, including money laundering, terrorism financing, purchase of small arms and light weapons, and tax evasion. Indeed, there have been reports of criminality associated with cryptocurrencies.
As people were rejecting it, the thing was getting popular. And so it is obvious cryptocurrency has come to stay. So if you don't embrace it, that means we want to remain backwards. If there are control measures to be put around cryptocurrency, that is what we'll be talking about today.
This street in the Asokoro district of Abuja is where a young girl was kidnapped by some unknown gunmen. The men would later ask her father to pay them in Bitcoin for her release.
When you say Bitcoin, I was thinking maybe it is a coin or something like that. No. So it is what they call cryptocurrency. So he said he has given me until 4 o'clock to pay the $15,000. But I said, I don't know how to do Bitcoins. He said, then learn. I said, from where? He said, find out. But don't forget, it's your daughter's life that is on the line. I give you until 4 o'clock.
Cases like this and much more suggest that the action of the Apex Bank is justified.
Honestly, I feel better about that. The decision by the CBN is okay because they are taking advantage on it to do people here and there, and I've experienced it.
I mean, Bitcoin is an investment platform. I mean, people don't just invest with Bitcoin, they actually trade Bitcoin in Forex. So banning it now, it's not really encouraging the youth, I'm going to say.
Nevertheless, experts insist that an unregulated financial market poses lots of dangers for investors' funds, which is what the central bank is duty-bound to protect.
It becomes very difficult to trap what fund goes and where the money has disappeared to. That is the way crypto works. And countries such as Nigeria, developing countries that does not have one of the major currency of the world, you know, it might also have impact. But all of these can be tied to development. I beg your pardon.
To the extent that CBN cannot control the activities of cryptocurrency institutions, means that you cannot examine what you cannot view, what you cannot see, and the cryptocurrency must come under the examination of CBN. And if they cannot examine it, that means the existence of those banks are threatened.
Last September, the Securities and Exchange Commission started a process of regulating trade in digital currencies to provide protection for investors and to ensure that transactions are transparent. But this year, the Commission suspended previously announced plans to regulate cryptocurrencies until those dealing in them are able to open bank accounts in Nigeria. For the purpose of admittance into the SEC regulatory incubation framework, the assessment of all persons and products affected by the CBN circular of February the 5th, 2021 is hereby put on hold until such persons are able to operate bank accounts within the Nigerian banking system. The SEC engaged with the CBN and agreed to work together to further analyze and better understand the identified risks to ensure that appropriate and adequate mitigants are put in place should such securities be allowed in the future. Cryptocurrency is the new kid on the block, no doubt, and the risks it poses leaves much to be desired. But experts insist there are other ways of regulating the operation of the virtual currency.
Authorities, Central Bank of Nigeria, leading that as, of course, the king in financial sector, followed by Security and Exchange Commission. After that, as Corporate Affairs Commission, because Corporate Affairs Commission is where you get your business registered. And lastly, NCC. If you have these 4 agencies of government sit around representative or the major players, the actors, the crypto operator actors within Nigeria want to support government or to understand with government why crypto cannot go on, or to educate government or agencies of government within the finance sector, while the world cannot wait for Nigeria, why crypto is a reality.
It is completely erroneous to try to classify cryptocurrencies as currency in the light of the environment of a nation, because we all know that currencies are typically issued by sovereign nations, okay, and they control it and they manage the monetary policy that surround that money that they have issued. So one does not expect that a currency that is not issued by a sovereign nation will come into that nation and come and be an acceptable currency of transaction within that nation. No, it wouldn't work. Okay, so it will be best to classify them as commodities. And if they have coloration of investment, they can now be classed as securities.
As a nation that wants to be a big player in the global digital economy, cryptocurrency offers Nigeria an opportunity to strengthen its place as a knowledge-based economy and attract the investment needed to stimulate growth. How the government manages this financial technology will play a major role in determining the growth of the nation's digital economy. My guest on the program is Mr. Abdul Hakim Ajijola, the chairman of the Working Group on Cyber Incident Management and Critical Information Protection of the Global Forum on Cyber Expertise at The Hague. And he's also the chair of the African Union Cybersecurity Expert Group. He clarified a few issues for us during this interview. First, yes, cryptocurrency is money. Yes, cryptocurrencies will disrupt the market status quo. Yes, it will undermine regulators and national sovereignty, but Nigeria could find ways to regulate it and even develop its own fiat cryptocurrency. Mr. Ajijola, welcome to Dateline.
Thank you for the honor of inviting me.
Everyone is talking about cryptocurrencies and the ban on cryptocurrencies from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Can I get, your take on that ban? How do you feel about it?
Let's qualify this. I believe that the CBN is actually putting restrictions on banks, that is the sector it controls, and not necessarily that people like you and I cannot use cryptocurrency, even though it does frown, it's not very happy with it. But again, there is a limit to what it can control.
Can you run cryptocurrency businesses without banks?
Yes. So let's start with what is money.
Exchange.
It's a trusted intermediary of value.
Yes.
Our ancestors used to use cowries. Yes. And then somebody brought gold. And at a point in time, somebody brought paper. I mean, let's think about it. This naira and dollar that we are killing ourselves for is just a printed piece of paper. We now moved to some plastic, whether you call it your ATM card. So we're now getting into electronic transactions and electronic money. Virtual currencies, cryptocurrencies, are simply just an extension of that evolution. So to that extent, it is a trusted intermediary of value. Now, within that, so it is money, okay?
Bottom line.
Bottom line.
Cryptocurrency is money.
Yes.
Says the cybersecurity expert.
Because it is a trusted intermediary of value.
Okay.
Now, there are two aspects to it. One, cryptocurrencies, like any money, especially cash, allow you basically to transfer value. So I want, for example, your bangles, you're ready to give them to me, but we exchange them for some bits of paper. The second aspect is that cryptocurrencies, like other currencies, traditional currencies, what you would call fiat currencies, and I'll get to that in a moment, can also be a storage of value. Now, the challenge with that for people like me, and this is now more a religious concern, are the issues of interest. And that gets to usury. And that now speaks to where you see some of these very absurd hikes in value of certain cryptocurrencies. So I'm just saying that even at a very fundamental level, there are some challenges. Now, trying to discern some of the challenges that the CBN has, I think there are a couple of things. First of all, I think we have to be a bit truthful. Cryptocurrencies present certain threats. First of all, they disrupt the business models of the status quo, which are like the banks. So the status quo has been using these models maybe for 100 years or so or more. I mean, I know banks have been around for centuries, literally. So first of all, you're disrupting that status quo. But you are also disrupting the ability of regulators, and by extension, ministers, to actually control the sector. And so that loss of control is something that regulators would naturally fear. I mean, we all fear a certain level of loss of control. But there's also loss, and I'll give you some examples as we go forward, the potential loss or loss of sovereignty as a country. Because suddenly, what does money connote? Money connotes power. So if all of a sudden you don't control money, by extension you don't control power.
If this is the future, why isn't the CBN keying into it, or learning how to control it on some level as opposed to banning it totally?
CBN is not banning the concept of cryptocurrency, it's banning a specific currency that is traded. In fact, you've probably read that people like Elon Musk in the last week or so have invested $1.5 billion, not $1 million.
Which is where the Nigerian young person is actually a bit perplexed about this. If we're seeing Elon Musk, and he put this on social media when
and not just that, you can now buy Tesla cars
with Bitcoin.
With Bitcoin, yes.
So if this is what we're seeing, people who Tesla, you know, and Mr. Elon Musk
is the most valuable company in the world.
Someone that many, even as a person,
motor vehicle company.
He's someone that motivates a lot of young people.
Correct.
So if we're seeing a man who's a business tycoon like that, being a part of this, you can buy his cars using Bitcoin. The idea that the government is, you know, stopping banks, you know, telling banks to ban the accounts or, you know, close the accounts of young people who have been doing cryptocurrency businesses in those accounts, that is enough for an uproar, and that is the uproar that we're seeing in society today. What should the CBN be doing differently?
Okay, first of all, let's again, if you don't mind, take a slight step backwards. There is certainly a need for some level of regulation of currencies, whether it's cowries, gold, paper, you know, cards, or in this case, virtual currencies. The challenge is that we've not really, and that is, I believe, the regulators have not really been able to figure out a way to sufficiently, in their opinion, regulate this.
Can it be regulated?
We have to find a way. What has happened is that because we've not sat down early enough to think through the options, possibilities, and ramifications, we are actually on the back foot. We are reacting. And reaction, as one of my mentors has always told me, is that reaction is actually a sign of failure.
You did say that the CBN should be finding a way.
It's not just CBN. As a society, we need to find a way. CBN could be the person where those thoughts are aggregated, stimulates it, but it's a societal problem.
The thought process behind their action, money laundering, kidnapping, terrorist funding. And we spoke, during the week, we spoke to a man whose daughter was kidnapped, and the kidnappers insisted that he pay them $15,000 in Bitcoin. And you know, the idea that it couldn't be traced afterwards, they couldn't find these criminals, they couldn't trace the money and things like that. I need to clarify this for me. Is there any way that money could have been traced?
Given the structures, if I would say, we don't have in place, no, it cannot be traced.
It cannot be traced.
Right, as of now.
If someone can carry out a criminal activity of such a magnitude using a cryptocurrency, and you can trace it, you can find this man, isn't that enough on some level for the government to say, wait, hold on, we don't understand this, let's stop it first until we do?
Yes, I remember President Trump saying people from certain countries shouldn't come into America until they understand what the four-letter word is going on. And I'm not sure that is necessarily the optimum way forward. A friend of mine in Singapore famously said, cyber criminals operate at the speed of light. Law enforcement operates at the speed of law. So there's a natural mismatch. And because of that mismatch, the good guys, the good actors on this side, have to think ahead. We have to be much more proactive. And I think this is where the challenge really comes out.
Mr. Adejola, thank you so much for being with us on Dateline, and good luck
with
the work you have to do.
So far, so good.
How do you feel about cryptocurrencies? Are you for or against the closure of accounts of those transacting in them? Let us know using the social media handles showing on your screen. The idea of digital colonization is a conversation we must have as a continent. There are digital currency initiatives in the African pipeline, not manned by Africans. Let's not treat a symptom and let the actual illness fester. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kayla Megwa. See you next time.